Good evening, New York. Velma Dinkley reporting here. If you didn't know who that was, it's the girl with the orange sweater, the glasses, and who many people know who I'm talking about. She did all the work, the brunt of the work, and everybody else just revealed who it was under the mask. The thing is, she always lost her glasses, ironically, and she was really not able to solve the case completely, so she was kind of blinded by certain things. So I thought that was very interesting to come to me. It's time for community video number 4. I didn't really think much about it, and I haven't in a long time, so let's revisit. I came here, and not to be dramatic at all, naked, bald. I had leopard spots, a staph infection. I was having seizures. I was blacking out, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't swallow. I was on a pureed diet, and let me tell you, they actually puree the food, and then they put it in those kind of children's molded trays, silicone, I guess, and they mold it into what looks like a steak or an object that is similar to the things we eat and prepare. I don't know. Oh no, I had people feeding me, wiping my ass, and honestly, oh my goodness, the pain to even touch me, I don't know why. You can barely just even, yeah. I eventually went to a walker. I also used a commode for a very long time right next to this bed. I'd wake up every hour, and I detoxed. One time I fell off and blacked out, and those are the kind of noises that go bump in the night, and I hear the voice like, Chris, like, are you right? So many times. And I think that my caretaker, Ruben, would wake up at night and just say, thinking I was calling him when it wasn't. Just a lot has happened in this very room. And so when I was able to walk, I was back at the community center because I was there when I was not very well, but that's another, there's 2 separate parts to my illness. And this one, I was on medication, antibacterials, very strong, and seemingly get it off the medications after 12 months, and I did. And after being in bed for almost 3 years, and all of this nonsense going on, and being resistant to many medications and side effects, and me saying, oh, I can handle it, let me just see what my body feels like before I even make a decision to stay on this. Like, just always fighting, but not suffering. Well, yeah, physically, but in the 5D, always knew I can get through it. Upon showing up at the community center for the second time, I started healing from all of this pain and trauma in my past. I was awkward, I was not social, and once again, Christine just wants to say, I want to better myself. So I spoke with Zenda, and she recommended that I just go to events, bingo and historical women, and the best part about those settings are really the people who are sitting at the table and conversing and just discussing their stories, the generation that they were a part of, and how it took a toll on their health, and how different it is now, the stigma then in the 80s. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss about HIV, the history, there's a lot more. Some could say patents. So I show up, and I said to her, why do you do all of these nice things for me? Because I'm sick. I have many ideas and things to tell you about. I showed her my artwork, and she thought it was beautiful, and she was just beautiful, and the colors and how she presented herself was just quite amazing. And I discussed a t-shirt campaign I wanted to do, and also I know how to silk screen. I'm familiar with printing presses, plates, you name it, old school. Also, not having the technology here and now, I have to work around it, and that's quite okay because it's just as authentic as I am. And I have holidays coming up and special people that I want to acknowledge by gifting them my gifts from here. I'm going on a tangent. I was looking for a family, for support, to be social, not awkward, not worry about my appearance or my belly. And eventually I made my way downstairs because Zenda said, why don't you go downstairs? They have classes. Now, keep in mind, I am on the HIV floor. I'm not really sure what happens there besides a wonderful family that I just love to come back to, and I know that I'm safe, sound, loved, and protected, and I just never had to ask whose title was what or who was who. It just was a mesh of people coming in one door and going out the other. And just the quirkiness and the artistic ways that everyone portrayed an individual style, but all were so loving and caring, and their job was to protect and love and support, that I too felt that way and welcome. So many people come through those doors and 24/7 to be helped in a way. And there's so many avenues I want to go to and talk about because I believe, and I still don't know the title, I'm so sorry, sir, that I know it's a high position and a really high position because I embarrassed myself. I was out in the lobby and I said, oh, you should take some classes here. The mentors are just amazing and so well-versed and so loving and whatever I said in that sense. And there was also another worker there. He was actually an alumni that spoke at our graduation, but he since has been gone because he had some trouble that he spoke to me about, and I really give my best wishes his way too. It was just nice to be there. I didn't know that I had to look up titles to see who was who or what. I knew. And I want to acknowledge particular ones, especially ones that had sea moss in the refrigerator. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. That was nice to see in an establishment such as so. I wish it was a little more colorful and a little more, boisterous and up, but there are certain people that give off the light and reflection of that, to bring that light in a place that brings many dark traumas. I also know that there were many traumas in my class as well. I just had so much of a vocal story, and I've healed so much that I wanted to just be able to turn on the computer. What is Zoom? Where do I go? What the heck? I have to tell my story. That was the hardest to say what I did, and I don't really think it was much. Or the time, I was in a class, and I think I've brought this up before, that I was talking to Lisa, and she said, I don't want to quote it exactly, but it is, maybe just quote it exactly, that I'm stupid. I never had an education in college, and I'm not as smart as everybody. I'm just, really, she was really kind of embarrassed of what I immediately went to her. Please know that it takes no education, but the education on the street and your experiences and your realizations of being a better person, and the avenues that are dark are not defining who you are, but balancing your dark and light shadow work is just very important. I don't feel like She was incapable of not healing her wounds. She was powerful. She was motherly. She was straight. Even her style, her dress, her little checkered shirt, white pants. I loved that woman for some reason. There was a connection to really give me the realization, no matter how book smart you are, it means nothing. The experiences that you go through are the lessons that you were put here to perform and transform and show other people how you made it through, the tools that they need, the resources, or just the hope and the camaraderie of guiding someone who's been through it. This is so smart, beautiful. There were several females living in a woman's home, and they kind of were stuck there, and I believed they had to take the class, but they've got a lot out of it, including a friend. We had Maria. Remember Maria? When I was speaking to Lisa, I feel like I was being listened to, and unknowingly so. I was speaking about how I wanted to also have some kind of family or support that I needed as well. The thing is, I wanted to just, I don't remember exactly what, but when I got back, everyone was just almost like in a gasp, like, what? I don't know what I said. I believe it was benevolent and profound and not from me, and infused and spoken as a messenger to help that woman realize that she's the smartest one in the gang, the wisest. There was also Ty. I once remember he said that, Christine, I've shed a tear for you. I've never had someone move me with your story, and I don't really remember what I said either. But he was very well versed and took his time in defining things, and he was very philosophical and very careful with details, and just he had a large family, and I just adored his energy. He was one of them that I like to see pop up on the screen. And so we all graduated together. We laughed in those rooms. There was a camaraderie between the two mentors, Aja and Tuan. And I always thought that I'd say to them, you should make it a battle between dark and light. And it was more like the angel and the devil, and almost having that, not clash of personalities, but to give the class a more understanding of how it could just uplift people. And it was fun. It was fun. I had a really good time there. And by the time I got out of there, I didn't realize that I activated the powers within myself. I became healing at a rapid rate. I was practicing my Hermetic philosophy. I shared a lot of that information in class. I don't know if people understood what the heck I was talking about, but it's just, it seemed that, I got distracted, sorry. It seemed that every time I came across a particular person, they would dodge me. And we were studying ethics in class, and I'm like, oh no, not me. Ethics, I don't mean it to be in a sexually harassing way, but someone always has to ruin it and grab someone's ass or something. I don't know, so I was very careful and very professional, as I always am. And so even getting coffee or asking for a quickie is like, may I please have that? And we're the same generation, well, maybe he's younger, but it was not an uncomfortability, but one day I did, and we were talking, and I said, I want to do some silk screening, I want to do this, and I want to just venture out. And this is before, I believe, before I became a recovery coach, maybe not, maybe after. Because since then I was offered HIV classes. That never happened. And too bad, because I want to know more about it. And I thought that I could learn something actually in that class, and never happened. And Reiki classes, which I'm quite well read about, and there's actually a man who does it across the world, and he actually projects the energy. His name is Michael. I can't remember, but it's Reiki healing from like energetically across the world, and he's like very hippie-ish kind. He looks like a Jesus type kind of like. Yeah. Okay, so you can resort to that too if you want to take that avenue. There's people doing it all over the place. Also, a skill that I'd like to acquire, and I know I can delve into once I settle things, sort of. And so I also heard that, honestly, we were, I don't know if it was like in the building or at the cargo when we all had lunch, and I was organizing it to be held at the cargo, and Ty stepped in and said he'd take care of the bill, and I said, no, I'll take care of at least half. It was just students. We don't really have much money. We know, all of us, and there was children involved that needed more than I did, so we kind of chipped in. And I also invited Aja and Tuan in a nice email, and I knew it wasn't ethical to even invite, but I was just commending that we were proud of ourselves and them for taking that time to give free classes. They were free. I don't know if they're ever free at any other time, but this time they were. Maybe it's because particular people knew me before going inside. Like, when I showed up, I feel like people knew me already. I don't know. Let's end this one here and just move on to the next.